Hello and welcome back to the Anfield Edition podcast. My name is Owen and joining me today we have Ty, so say hello Ty.
Hi lads.
And we also have Inverta, so say hello mate.
Hi lads.
These podcasts are released weekly, so follow at Anfield Edition to be notified when they go live. Today we'll be discussing a Leicester double. Having crashed out of the Cup to the Foxes, we face another meeting at the King Power Stadium this Saturday. First of all, let's start with the previous meeting. Goals from Okazaki and Slimani separated the two sides, both having rotated the lineups. Despite dominating possession and the amount of chances created, Liverpool failed to find the back of the net, especially in the first half where they were so dominant. Is that performance cause for concern, Ty, or is it just a one-off?
You would hope it was a one-off, but we said the same thing against Manchester City, and two different, obviously, type of games. I think we kind of capitulated second half, didn't we, against Man City, and we didn't capitulate against Leicester. It was just a kind of lack of creativity going the other way. You just touched on it then. We dominated the first half, and I think we should have been 2-3-0 up by that time. And as soon as Coutinho went off, we just looked like we're void of any ideas, any creativity. With nothing come from our midfield, and again, Slanky had a couple of good chances himself, but he's not quite getting that run of luck at the moment. The ball's not quite bouncing for him, or it's not dropping for him right. And but yeah, and second half, I wouldn't say it's a performance because for cause for concern. Second half wasn't good enough, but the first half we should have been out of sight, and then we wouldn't be talking about it, would we?
Yeah, that's fair. I think what you touched on with Coutinho there, something we've all sort of feared might happen. I mean, we saw him in pre-season how good he was creating chances, I think, for Salah and Mane, and as soon as we had all this Barca stuff going on, knowing that he'd be taken out of the side as well, I think we saw that there was less creativity, but obviously that was being covered over by the fact we were winning games and scoring goals, and now obviously we've gone on this run now, 4 games without a win, where people are highlighting the fact that Coutinho needs to be brought in, and he's sort of been rushed back in. I think Klopp mentioned obviously he's only played the 45 minutes and fitness might still be an issue. Inverter, what did you think of his performance on Tuesday night?
Well, as you say, he's only got the fitness to play 45 minutes at the moment, so I think it's too early to judge him at the moment. So obviously he did have that break after all the rumours, and like more from the game. I think his shooting was quite poor, to be honest. A few of the shots he ended up really high up in the stands, and I think that's down to him just trying to win the fans over. After all the rumours, he's probably trying to score this 30-yard goal we're all talking about. But in terms of dribbling, I thought he was quite impressive. As Ty said, he was the only one making anything happen in the first half. He was quite penetrating in his runs, just flying past the midfield, no problem. But then it was just that final phase which proved to be quite problematic for him. But let's just wait until he's 30 enough to play like the 90 minutes, and then we'll see what.
It's going to take a few games to get him up to speed, I think, isn't it? To expect him to go out there and just blitz Leicester like that probably was, a bit too much from some fans. I know, like most of us have got a level head, knew that wasn't the case and that wasn't going to happen, given the fact that is his first start of the season. Ty, was there anything you wanted to add, regarding Coutinho?
Yeah, I just not so much Coutinho. I just think overall, I mean, on the night, admittedly, I did have a bit of a mini meltdown, to be honest with you, going out the Cup so early. I think it was we all said it a couple of podcasts ago. We said being Klopp's third season, it's time for a trophy now, and obviously the League Cup represented probably the easiest or best chance, because we know not all the top teams put out their strongest side in the first few rounds, and you get a couple of upsets. You said, didn't we, before the podcast started, you've seen obviously Bristol City dump Stoke out as well, so
yeah,
it's a prime example of that happening. And Manchester City didn't have it all their own way against West Brom either, so you can see like opportunities there. If a couple of big teams go out early, it happened, didn't it, with us when obviously when we went on to the final against Man City, when obviously we didn't win it, but a couple of big teams went out early there, and then you just think, actually, do you know what? It is a chance for a trophy here, and I was fuming. But taking a step back from it, if you look at our last few games, Sevilla, Burnley, Leicester, we dominated every single one of them. 70% possession against Leicester, 71% against Burnley, 24 shots against Sevilla. We did dominate each of those games. I just think something's not quite running for us at the moment. I think with the exception of the second half against Leicester, we've been much the better team. I think I read a stat earlier actually that we've only scored one goal in the last 2 games. We had 55, 56 attempts. Is nuts, you know. So I just think if we carry on playing the way we are creating enough chances. We're just not putting them away. Someone's going to be on the end of a hiding. I think it's not going to be too long. If we keep making those same chances, we're going to put 3, 4, 5 goals away soon.
Hopefully it starts. Yeah, I was going to say, do you reckon it's down to luck or finishing? In that case, if we've had 56 attempts.
Yeah, well, I mean, we seen us be a little bit wasteful, didn't we? Against Sevilla, we could have been out of sight in that game as well. Firmino missed the penalty. I think Chan should have scored. Moreno had a good chance. Solanke hit the bar against Burnley, I think it was, and he was within inches of scoring a couple of goals against Leicester as well on the stretch. So I just think, a little bit of luck, like you just said, and the scorelines could have been completely different in our last 3 games. And I wouldn't have had a bloody breakdown on Tuesday night.
Looking at the game in a bit more detail, were there any other players worth mentioning, either in a positive or negative light?
I think everyone was quite proud of it. Yeah. I'm not really sure, especially in that second half once Coutinho was off. There was a lack of quality on the pitch. It was quite evident. There was no one who had the ability. Obviously, no one has the ability of Coutinho, but no one was trying to make things happen.
No.
Woodburn came on, didn't really do anything. Solanke overall was on a poor game. Ings came on, no impact. And the fact I can't recall like any good chances in the second half speaks volumes about the overall play in that second half. Nothing comes to mind. So,
except for the video going round about Oxlade.
Oh yeah, is that the one where it's like
what a 1 minute 52 showing of Oxlade constantly giving the ball away and dribbling into defenders and so on. I mean, I'm not gonna judge him too early. It was a terrible performance. Don't get me wrong. And I think my concern with the signing was, obviously, you're spending 40 million on a player who's publicly come out and said he wants to play centre midfield, and you look at the amount of times he gave that ball away, and not even in, they weren't even risky passes. They were like 5-10 yard passes that he was messing up, and definitely didn't support his case for wanting to play centre midfield. You want someone who's very composed on the ball. Henderson, for as much criticism as he gets, I think he is the player there who keeps us ticking over, and he keeps possession very, very well. And I don't think Ox is capable of doing that for us.
One thing I will say is that in the first half, with Coutinho on the pitch, I think he was a bit better than in the second half. Maybe it was down to a lack of options really, and he's resorting to like some tricky passes. I know you said some of them were easy, but I'd like to see him more in the Premier League side, see what he's like with Chance Allen and so on for me now as well. So he's got the runs, because I don't think the players that were on the pitch could really read the play well enough for him to sort of act on that.
No, yeah, you're right. It's a good point. But would you start him in centre mid, or would you keep him wide, or what?
Yeah, no, I don't think I'd start him in centre mid. I think you've got to sort of ease him into that role, sort of give him half an hour, see what he plays like in centre mid, because we can't play him out wide and then start him centre mid all of a sudden. Because, Klopp obviously knows he'll be to blame for that if it doesn't happen, if it doesn't pan out.
I think you touched on Henderson there as well. He got a lot of criticism, I think, over social media for like a lack of leadership. Something, he has received criticism for in other games this season as well, and it is a team, I think, in my opinion, that is crying out for someone to just take the game by the scruff of the neck and really lead the team. But I would say that's at fault for both on the pitch and off the pitch. I think Klopp could receive, part of the criticism for this. Defence being our greatest weakness, I think a lot of people have pointed out the fact we don't really have a leader at the back of, in that defence. But then the leadership can also come from Klopp himself. He can go out there and he can make the best of players. We know he's done this before. And I think having witnessed what we've seen so far this season with the defence and how, it has continued to really disappoint Liverpool fans, good Klopp is good for so long, but is it time for bad Klopp, Ty?
Well, I think the first sign was there, wasn't it, on his post-match, when he said he was sick of conceding the same kind of goal all the time, and that was the first time he's actually come out and been a little bit negative towards the defence after constantly coming out and saying there's no other defender we could have signed which is better than what we've got, which was absolute bullshit, by the way. And he's jumped to their defence quite a few times, but I just think the signs are there now where he's getting a little bit fed up. He's put his trust in them. He's saying, no, let's stand by them, let's give them a chance, wait, don't judge them too early. But they keep on continually letting him down at the moment, and there's individual mistake after individual mistake. I think he is to blame to a certain extent. I completely disagree with the zonal marking. Like, how many times are we going to carry on deploying that tactic when it's clearly not
Yeah.
working? You want people to take responsibility, and that's the way I've always played, even playing football myself. I don't like it. I want my defenders to grab a man. If you get beaten, that's your fault. That's on you. There's no like pointing and it was his fault. It was his, he should have picked him up. It's all bullshit. I don't like it. It's too much of a grey area. Pick a man, stick with him, and beat your man. That sort of
Yeah,
shit's
do you
down
remember
to.
Burnley? It was like last stages of the game, and Ben May had
Ben
two
Mee.
open headers.
Yeah.
Literally, it was just corner after corner. The first one I think got cleared off the line by don't remember who it was, and then the second one was a Mignolet save.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I think with zonal as soon because Ben Mee was like out wide, wasn't he? Behind the far post.
Yeah.
So I think the problem with that is there are sort of few areas that you're missing out completely, which is why there's so many players out who have open headers against us.
It's just frustrating at the moment. Like you said there, even in that same game, the Burnley game, for the goal they scored, you had, I think, Arnold got dominated for the first header, and then it come into the second one. Klavan and Matip both went for the same ball, both marked the same man, and obviously Arfield was free then. Robertson was at fault for that as well because he didn't tuck round early enough. So it just the whole defence as a blanket at the moment is just completely not good enough. I think Minley is the only probably exception there, even though he's had criticism obviously plenty of times. He's the only one this season who's probably to say he's
There's
done
no communication
all right
across the back four. That's what frustrates me the most. You can see, like you said, with people picking up the same man on corners, it's just criminal to see that, at the top level when it's such an easy thing to do. You're on that man, easy, just sorted like that. And the fact that they can't communicate between them, that is such a frustrating thing to see on the pitch when you know how, easily it can be solved.
It's baffling though. I mean, and Inverta will probably be able to confirm this more than me. But the obviously he goes to Liverpool all the time, the games all the time. But the games that I've gone to, Mignolet and Lovren don't shut up. They are actually quite loud, and you can hear them talking constantly. But it just appears in the key moments something goes wrong, and I think that's where Klopp is. We need to see bad Klopp, as you put it, because something
Luckily
needs to
for
change
Klopp and the
fast.
squad, our next game is against Leicester. Once more, we should see something different, I think, in this game, given the fact that the sides are bringing back, the first team players. Most of the players we saw were, second tier, you could say. So injuries remain a concern though for us. That's the main thing I think you could look at ahead going into this game. Lovren's like a certain miss for the game. Joel Matip is doubtful as well. So that's our starting centre backs there, both missing for the game at the King Power. How much of a concern is that, and how big a miss is that going into this game, Inverta?
I think it's disastrous really. We saw what happened with Klavan and Gomez against Slimani, so I hate to think what it'll be like against Vardy, who's 3 times quicker than them both. So yeah, the centre backs I think will be under a lot of pressure, especially through balls. They'll sort of try and counter attack. I think Klavan, because against Burnley and Leicester for the 2 first goals seems to have been exactly the same goal that we conceded. It was Klavan and Matip sort of out of the equation against Burnley, and Klavan's trying to win the header, and he's on the wrong side of the man. And I think it's not that he's scared to put his body on the line. I think he just genuinely doesn't read the game well enough to be on the right side of the man. And obviously that's his fault to an extent, but he's as good as he is, and we can't blame him too much for that. He just, I say, he doesn't read the game. So on that aspect, I am worried. Like I said with Vardy especially. But the positives are that we've got Salah, Firmino, Sturridge probably coming back into the front three. Obviously, that is a big difference from Solanke, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Woodburn, who we had. Chan as well back on the side. I feel as if he's someone who can change game. Probably the only player in the side out of the defenders in the midfield who can actually run with the ball forwards. And obviously we saw moments like Burnley last season when he scored the 25-yard goal. We saw his goal against Watford. I think he's got that capability to pull off that.
It's been one
Great
player I've been really impressed with actually this season is Emre Can. I think the fact that we haven't tied him down on another contract yet is really frustrating to see when you know that January's approaching, and I'd like to see him tied down. Just looking back at the defence, we've got there. What we'll expect to see starting against Leicester now would be, Alexander-Arnold down the right, and then Gomez and Clavan in the centre-back positions, and Moreno in left-back. Would it be fair to say that's one of the worst defences we've seen in recent years?
Maybe not the
Yeah.
worst. We have had some howlers, over the
We've
years.
had Robinson at left back.
Yeah. But to be honest with you, I think I like for the long term Gomez at centre half. I think the problem he's got is at the moment he's inexperienced playing there. Obviously he was there.
Yeah.
Was it Charlton he was with?
Yeah.
He was playing centre back, right back for Charlton as well. And long term, I think he does suit centre back far more than right back. But he needs someone who's very commanding, like we just said. And if he's got a dominant centre half alongside him, I think he'll do really well. Because he's quick. He's not the most dominant player in the air, but then if you had someone, as we keep on saying probably every single podcast, like a Van Dijk alongside him, I think he would do quite well. He mops up very well, I think, and he does spot danger. He reads the game better than Clavan does. As we said, Clavan has got caught out numerous amounts of times, and the centre backs, even if you do get caught out sometimes, Gomez is one of those ones that because he's got the pace, he can recover in time. Whereas Clavan's got absolutely no chance. Lovren's exactly the same. The moment he rushes in, we've seen it plenty of times, Lovren tries to steal the ball quite a lot. Every single time he gets that wrong, he's got no chance of recovering back in time. So Gomez I like, but Gomez I'd rate even further if he had someone dominant alongside him.
Do you think that Van Dijk's a vocal player? Because I'm not too sure that he is. I know he reads the game. Obviously, Matip isn't vocal at all. So even with Matip and Van Dijk, we could potentially have that problem still. Still a lack of a Jamie Carragher at the back who can sort of change game from the back, I suppose.
Yeah, you do. You need someone who just doesn't shut up 24/7, and obviously Jamie was that voice constantly. He wasn't our most gifted defender, but he wouldn't give anyone a minute's peace, and I think that's what you need at the back. You need people constantly talking, constantly switched on, because we've seen so many times this season it only takes a split second and a mistake happens, and I just think Carragher was one of those ones that you could rely on.
Yeah,
every single
certainly
game.
true. I think what you might look at is the nationalities between obviously the back four as well. We've got Dejan Lovren, who's Croatian, Matip, who's from Cameroon, Moreno from Spain, and you think Mignolet from Belgium, even, like all these, obviously they're coming in learning the English language, and that's not like the most ideal situation you would have. Obviously you would like someone maybe English there that can dictate like the defence, like you said, with Jamie Carragher, and I think that's what we could do with. But then once you're getting all these mixed nationalities in, I still think that is an issue that isn't addressed by a lot of big teams actually in the league. Like you could maybe look at City's defence with Otamendi, Company, Stones. There's 3 different nationalities across the back 3, and it does make it quite difficult, I think, to organise when you look at that. And I think maybe that's a problem that a lot of people are missing in the modern game.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I do think Company's a great leader though. He's been around in England for ages, hasn't he? I think he's very vocal.
Yeah.
You've got Tottenham, they've sort of got the Belgian connection at the back, so I don't think they'll struggle too much. And with us, there's just absolutely no correlation between the players. Obviously, I think Mignolet speaks a few languages, but having a Cameroonian player and then potentially a Dutch player in Van Dijk or Croatian, I think that's one of the problems. But then again, we've got Trent at right back. They're local talent, but I think he lacks back sort of confidence. He's not a very vocal player either. So I do actually think now that we pointed that out, that is one of the main reasons maybe why the defence is so poor. There's just no structure. There's no one to help them other than Klopp. And obviously Klopp's far away. You can only help them so much. Whereas it's good to have some of that character right there with you, sort of organising everything.
Yeah, you do need it. I don't know about the mixed nationality thing. At the end of the day, I think all the players that we did mention in the back, they all speak good English though. Even Moreno, who there's some of the interviews he's done have been hilarious, but his English has come on leaps and bounds. They all speak very good English. All of those players at the back. We haven't just signed someone who's young and doesn't speak the language at all, or is only just.
I think it's more about the confidence though.
Yeah.
The foreigners maybe aren't as confident.
We're talking about full internationals at the end of the day. They've all with the exception of Trent, they've all played for the national team, and like you said, they've been around long enough. I just think it's purely based on talent. Lovren not good enough, Clavan not good enough. Moreno's only just coming back into the team now, so he's got a little bit of an excuse, but he's done okay, to be fair. Not brilliant, but he's done a lot better than what we've obviously seen of him over the last year or two. and Trent's inexperience along with Gomez. For me, it's just about our defense is not good enough. It's really not good enough, and until they address
Yeah.
that, that's going to
Meanwhile,
continue to
Leicester
exaggerate
will
their
return
leads.
to full strength pretty much with Mahrez, Maguire, Schmeichel, Iheanacho and Vardy, to name a few of the names that might come back into that side. Obviously, Vardy is a bit 50-50, running a late fitness test to see if he can get past that groin injury he picked up against Huddersfield. I mean, given what the 2 goals they got against us on Tuesday, they'll be even more threatening come Saturday. Do we fear for the worst given recent results, or is there, a voice for optimism as you most of the time are, Ty?
Um, I think it could be a case of same old story. Um, Offensively, I think we're more than capable of putting 3 or 4 past Leicester, but it'll be a case of if we don't take our chances, can we rely on our defence? And at the moment, the answer is no. Yeah, I think if Klopp can address what's going on at the back, and he needs to address it very very soon, then yeah, we've got more than half a chance of being any team in the league, because I think with that good going forward, yeah, okay, our shooting hasn't been on point, our finishing final product hasn't been brilliant over the last 3 games, but as I said earlier, if we keep on creating the amount of chances that we are at the moment, with the addition of Coutinho coming back into form, then I don't think we've got a problem going forward, not at all. I just hope is a case of shutting up shop for a change at the back and putting our
Liverpool
chances
doing
away
that? Never.
starting
Not going to
Saturday.
happen. A win is needed. Should we keep up with the rest of the with all of the top 6 actually facing quite reasonable fixtures? We could find ourselves chasing shadows early on the season if we do, lose to Leicester on Saturday. Is it fair to assess our chances of top 4 based on what we've seen so far this season, or are we sort of jumping the gun by making a judgment on the squad 5 games in? Is that too early? What were your thoughts on that, Inverter?
I mean, we're already 5 points off the pace, and the teams who are above us have so significantly better squad. So in that sense, I do think we're incredibly worse off already. But I think top 4 is a bit premature. I think we can still sort of go for the top 4. However, just as I say, looking at the squads of City, United, even Arsenal seems to have a decent squad now. Obviously, Spurs have a really good starting 11. Like us, I don't think the title's a possibility at all. But then again, you could probably say he wasn't in the first place. So I think that's out of the equation already. And then it's just down to how we bounce back now. I am hoping we do bounce back. I don't think it'll be against Leicester yet, but if it's not against Leicester, it really has to be Newcastle. And then we need to go on an unbeaten run, I suppose, because the way City and United are playing, especially, I can't see them dropping many
Yeah, I think
points
we've got
over the course of the season.
a Champions League tie, haven't we, straight after Newcastle as well. So if we go into that, low on confidence, having not won in what would it be then 6 games, I think that would be a real recipe for disaster. There, Ty, how crucial is this game against Leicester in your opinion?
Yeah, it's big, and I think something needs to break for us at the moment. Going on a few games without a win, it starts getting a little bit more concerning. Then as time goes on, like you said, and momentum can make or break you. When you start going on a run of, like you said, 4 or 5, it could be 6 games without a win. You start panicking a little bit. Then then you start questioning, is top 4 going to happen? Yeah, it's very early days, but Inverter's spot on with the form United and City are in. I know, don't get me wrong, they will probably have a patch at some stage, but they look very strong at the moment. They're not just beating teams; they're putting teams away comfortably. How many times have we seen a 4-0 scoreline or more this
They
season
scored
already by those teams
25% of
between
the
them?
league's goals, by the way. So that stat, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, we could be contributing to that as well. We annihilated Arsenal, and I do believe if Mane had stayed on the pitch, I think we could have scored a few past City. We even before going 1-0 down, like I said, Salah had 2-3 very good opportunities to put us in a leading position. I think we'll score a lot of goals once everything starts clicking. And like I said, we've got Coutinho to come back into form. You got Coutinho, Firmino, Salah, Mane, all on form. Then we'll be dangerous. But it's just a case of what we do at the back. A winner is very crucial Saturday. I think we need something in. even if it's a scrappy, I'll take a scrappy, horrible 1-0, 2-1 win. I don't care if it's deflected 4 times before it goes in the 94th minute. I'll take that all day. But something needs to change quickly. So when's the Spartak game?
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, you don't want even that's away as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Russia.
You know, you don't want another loss to Leicester, and then you go into Russia. You know, it's a horrible trip, and then maybe coming away with nothing there, you start to worry then. So I think we need a win now. 3 points will be crucial on the back of going to a Champions League game where, obviously, we didn't win our first one. You want to pick up 3 points against Spartak. In my opinion, that should be a team you would want to win, but that becomes all the more harder if you start going 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a prediction from both of you for the Leicester game. Just to remind the listeners as well, it's 1 point for a correct result and 3 for a correct score. I went back and checked the Sevilla predictions, by the way. None of us got it right. I think, Ty, you were probably the closest. You went with a 2-1 Liverpool win. So obviously just the 1 goal off there. None of us went with a 2-2 draw, as it panned out. So nobody's got a correct prediction so far, and obviously no one went with a draw, so we haven't got a correct result either. So there's no points across the board for any of us. Ty, if you just want to kick things off, obviously, with your prediction, then we'll hear from Inverta.
I'll go for Klopp being absolutely fuming, finally kicking off at the defence. And when I heard the rumour of Matip and Lawrence, I actually thought he might have killed him. Kind of hoping it was true, to be honest with you. I'm going to go for a horrible, scrappy 2-1 win for us. I'm going to try and be positive, and I'm going to go Coutinho to get his first goal, along with Firmino. So I'll have the Brazilian connection, and there's 2-1 for the win.
I'm going to be more pessimistic.
Shock.
That we're going to see a 2-1 loss on the weekend, and then I'm sort of hoping that we...
See, I'm tempted to meet you both in the middle. We might go with the draw. I think, obviously, we had that 1-1 against Burnley. I think we could see a repeat scoreline there. 1-1 draw, I think, yeah, like you said, Ty. If we see Coutinho get involved, I think he could nab himself a goal, and that would be nice to see as well. So that's my prediction. So we've got 3 different results there, so one of us is going to get a point, unless the match is abandoned, where Klopp's brought out like an AK and just mowed down the defence.
Fingers crossed.
Now it's time to answer some of the questions from the listeners. At JamesJude1599 asked an intriguing question. Should Klopp consider changing formation? Ty, what do you think about
that? Not for me. Not based on the players that we got. I think, especially with the addition of Salah now, 4-3-3 is perfect for us. Obviously, we've seen quite a few teams, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, try the 3-5-2. Our defence can't be trusted. We haven't
I can't
got
imagine a Liverpool 3 at the back. I actually can think of, I'd rather kill myself than watch that, let's be honest. Yeah,
exactly. So, like I said, we haven't got the players. We haven't got the centre backs there to be trusted. So 3-5-2 would be a no-go. I don't know about you two. 4-3-3 is the best for me, but I couldn't think of any other formation that would do us any favours.
I'd like to see a diamond of some sort until Mane comes back. Because in that 4-3-3 system it pushes Firmino out wide, and I think he's completely ineffective.
What's your lineup then? Is it in terms of the diamond and the 2 up front?
Right, so it'd be a sort of up front. I'd have Sturridge and Salah. Behind them I'd have Firmino. Then I'd have just the normal midfield three, so it's sort of a 4-3-1-2, I suppose.
Yeah.
But obviously either Chan or Henderson in DM. I mean, Salah's allegedly played a few games on striker. I know it seems a bit of a crazy decision, but
no, he has done.
Very reasonable.
For Roma, he played second striker quite a lot. He'll drop just behind, like Sturridge, for example.
Yeah, or maybe have Salah in a number 10 role, but I think he lacks the creativity from what I've seen.
I'd actually be quite interested to see, because I think Klopp's actually deployed a diamond before, if I can remember correctly. So that would actually be quite an interesting one. One of the right, yeah.
Yeah, Sturridge is quite good.
Sturridge is a lot better with a second striker though. When he was with Suarez, that's when he sort of peaked. So yeah, it would be nice to see that actually with Salah. Those were the days. One of the writers, obviously you'll know, Vin asked, why didn't we sign a centre back? It's a topic we've discussed constantly, and almost every podcast we've considered it. So I've sort of adjusted Bin's question, if possible. I said, how can he get the best out of the four we've got? Is it Klopp's man management that could really, drive it up? Where do they need to specifically improve? I think we touched on it a bit earlier with communication. Where else, specifically do they need to improve?
I think we need to stick to the same four. There's too much rotation, I think, too early on in the season. It's just nonsense, really. I think we should just figure out who's going to be playing at left back, who's going to be playing at right back. Now, obviously, there's the problem with the two starting centre-backs being incredibly injury-prone and missing a lot of games every season. It just stems back to us not signing a centre-back. We've been over it numerous times. I'm not going to go over it again. We all know what happened. I think it's just a pretty annoying situation.
Yeah.
Not
until January, of course. I think a lot of people are saying Van Dijk then, but I don't know. Honestly, I'm just lost. I'm lost in football. That's where I am. That's all we have time for today. But we'll be back, I think, next week, probably assessing how we did against Leicester. Looking ahead, I think, to Newcastle, and then it's who are we playing in Champions League? The Russian team. Someone remind me. Spartak, there we go. Yeah, so we're playing Spartak Tuesday night, Spartak after that. So we'll look ahead maybe to Newcastle, and then the week after we'll be looking at the Spartak game. Hopefully, Liverpool can pick up a result against Leicester and we'll be a bit more happy next week. But where can the listeners find you off the podcast? We'll start with you, Ty.
Ty_talks LFC or Tyrone_PT.
And Inverta on Twitter.
So be sure to give them a follow on Twitter, and once again follow at Anfield Edition for updates on when the podcast is released. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like and comment on the video. Pleasure talking to you lads as always, so say goodbye, Ty.
Good night, lad.
Say goodbye, Inverta.
See you later, lads.
And it's bye from me as well.